Nobody loves their cable company except for internet access. I'm Holland Cook with Inflation Hacks. To find what you want to watch, rather than the several hundred channels your cable or satellite menu force feeds you, explore cordcuttersnews.com. It's a buyer's guide for spending less or spending nothing on television. Founder Luke Bouma told me that for the vast majority of Americans, everything they want to watch is available streaming. The only reason many still subscribe to cable or satellite is live sports, and many team channels now offer streaming. Some cord cutters do end up paying cable-size money, but what they end up with is 100% their menu. How are you coping? Post your inflation hacks at andyoucanquoteme.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Free Talk Live continues with Hour 2 up next after the news here at listen.freetalklive.com.
Ukraine says it will now push its allies for more weapons, including long-range missiles and fighter jets. It follows a US and German promise of tanks, but President Zelensky says the key is now speed and volumes of weaponry. Russia says the latest moves from Washington and Berlin are a blatant provocation. Former Deputy Permanent Representative of Germany to NATO, Eckhard Brosser, says allies will want to focus on getting the tank provision right first.
The focus is, for a start, to make the decision on tanks work, which is going to be difficult enough because you have to realize all these different tanks coming from different sources. To set all that up and make it operational and really useful and effective for the Ukrainians is going to be difficult.
China's health authorities claim the country's COVID outbreak is significantly easing, with major falls in the number of deaths and severe cases. Beijing continues to promote its handling of the virus, despite international concerns over the sudden relaxation of its long-standing COVID rules last month. From Hong Kong, FSN's Richard Kimber.
China's Center for Disease Control and Prevention says the number of COVID-related deaths and severe cases at Chinese hospitals have both fallen by more than 70% from peak levels reached in early January. It says daily fatalities at hospitals across the country are now less than 1,000. The latest data release follows pressure from the World Health Organization for more transparency over the country's outbreak amid international concern that the true scale of the situation on the ground could be much worse than official hospital data suggests. China also faced WHO criticism for narrowing its definition of what could be classified as a COVID death and halting daily caseload reports. Authorities have since reported on deaths that fall outside that definition, which only counted fatalities from infected people with respiratory failure. Richard Kimber in Hong Kong.
Japanese police are hunting someone who sent bomb threats to hundreds of schools this week. Dozens of schools closed as a precaution, but no explosives have been found. French refinery workers have started a 48-hour strike to protest against the government's planned pension reforms. It's the latest industrial action taken to try and force ministers to drop plans to raise the retirement age. Ross Cullen reports.
Thursday and Friday will be 2 straight days of strike action by workers at petrol plants and refineries, though no major impact on gasoline supplies is anticipated. The next big social action against the government's proposals to raise the retirement age and restructure the pension system will be on January the 31st, when a major nationwide mobilisation is expected. Ross Cullen, Paris.
For updates from our teams around the world, you can follow us on Twitter at Feature Story. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. With more today on those tanks for Ukraine, both Germany and the United States did a U-turn. The Germans reversing course and agreeing to send Leopard tanks to Kyiv after months of refusals. But the Biden administration also going back on its insistence that American M1 Abrams tanks were too powerful and complex for the battlefield. So what difference will all this make in the months ahead?
The Ukrainian foreign minister said a few months ago that when it comes to Germany, first they say no, then they fiercely defend their decision, and then they say yes.
Foreign affairs commentator Tim Marshall.
There's about 300,000 Russian recruits that Putin is willing to throw into this meat-grinding bloodbath machine of his. And it looks like that's going to happen in only a few weeks' time. Stalin is quoted as saying that quantity has a quality all of its own. They can basically lose more men than Ukraine. Putting 120 tanks in their way, the Ukrainians said they needed 300, but 120 will blunt those attacks at a great human cost to Russian people, most of whom don't want to be there.
There is also the danger that with those 120 tanks coming from multiple NATO members, that the Russians will view this as an expansion of the conflict, which is, of course, one big reason it's taken so long for agreement to be struck on their supply. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories, Ukraine says it will now push its allies for more weapons, including long-range missiles and fighter jets. China's health authorities claim the country's COVID outbreak is significantly easing. Japanese police are hunting whoever sent bomb threats to hundreds of schools this week, and French refinery workers have started a 48-hour strike in protest against the government's planned pension reforms. That's the latest feature story news. Ollie Barrett reporting.
If you're just tuning in, a horrific accident. Dozens are dead and hundreds more injured after the Coors Light party train crashed in Pratt, Kansas. The train was barreling through a field on its way to liven up a boring, overheated barbecue when something went wrong. Partiers were thrown hundreds of feet from the train as the frost-powered locomotive careened through bystanders at its normal speed of over 27,000 miles per hour. Rescue crews are struggling to get close to the crash. The Rocky Mountain frost radiating from the downed silver bullet is flash freezing survivors' bodies as they try to escape the wreckage, and the OJ's hit song Love Train is looping at deafening levels. No word yet on the cause of the accident, but investigators are focusing now on the fact that the train weighs 400 million tons and was not on rails. Coors Light has released the following statement, quote, Coors Light regrets any loss of life caused by the Coors Light party train's raw, frosty power. Please continue to enjoy Coors Light. We'll have more on this story as it develops.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.